Hello and welcome back. This is just a quick tutorial on the Media Kinexus Impression Studio Current Act Toolbar. If you haven't yet watched the Tell Your Story tutorial or the Presentation Acts tutorial, you might want to do so before watching this one. The Current Act Toolbar is where you'll be building your acts. Acts are just groups of related scenes. We talk more about acts in the Presentation Acts tutorial. Scenes are the individual messages with the actors, text, and media that tell specific aspects of your story. For example, suppose you're a major car manufacturer. You might design acts that speak to each of your model lines. Within each of those acts, you would have scenes that go into detail on one particular model. Then, using the Presentation Acts toolbar in conjunction with the Edit Layout mode, you can quickly assemble or reassemble an entire presentation. The Current Act toolbar is where you design each of the scenes to build your act. Let's get started. Whenever you start a new act, Impression Studio automatically begins the act with what's called a transition scene. Impression Studio is all about continuity of message. Every time you add an actor to the stage, it stays on the stage until you tell it to leave. The transition scene is there to make sure you have a place to deal with any actors left on stage at the end of an act. It's this feature that makes assembling your presentation so effortless. As I discuss in the Presentation Acts tutorial, Impression Studio affords you great flexibility in laying out and modifying your presentation. The transition scene helps ensure only the actors you want on stage are the ones you really want on stage. It makes your acts more modular. Think of the transition scene as the curtain in a real play. Between acts, the curtains are drawn and the set is restaged. When they are reopened, the set has all the changes, but also includes anything left on the stage. The difference here is that Impression only lets you clean the stage at a transition, not add new actors. And that really makes sense, because you want the actors to enter the stage after the curtain opens. In addition, the transition scene is always set to automatically play through, and you can't delete it. Okay, let's talk about some of the other features in the Current Act toolbar. The Current Act toolbar is basically a graphical preview of your scene. If I drag anything to my stage, the preview window updates to let me know what's on the stage after all the actors' actions for that scene have finished. Below the preview are 6 buttons. The first button is for adding a new scene. Notice how the actors from my first scene are still in the new scene. Unlike slide-based presentation software, Impression actors stay on the stage until you tell them to leave. I can choose to insert a new scene between any two scenes by selecting Add Scene between the two scenes. I hope you also notice that the current scene selected is highlighted. I can click on any scene in the Current Act toolbar, go directly to that scene, and begin editing it on the stage. Okay, the next button over is for deleting scenes. Anytime I add a scene or delete a scene, Impression Studio will update the act to account for any actors who might have been affected by the addition or deletion. Next button over is Print Scene. This option determines whether or not the scene will be printed when you publish your presentation, or included in the e-takeaway. I talk more about publishing in the e-takeaway tutorial. By default, this setting is set to true, meaning the scene will be printed and included in the e-takeaway when I publish. Click it off if you don't want the scene printed. The next 3 buttons deal with how the scene behaves when all the actors have finished entering the stage and have delivered your message. If you select autoplay timing, your act will continue to the next scene after all actions have completed in the current scene without any interaction from the presenter. If you select stop timing, the act will stop after all the actions have completed in the current scene, and the presenter will have to press either the space bar or the right arrow key to continue to the next scene in the presentation. This is the default setting for all scenes. Pause timing will result in the scene pausing after all the actions have completed in the current scene for a period of time you can specify in the little box that pops up to the right of the button. You can enter a period of time in seconds, and the presentation will pause, and then continue after that time is up without any interaction from the presenter. That's really all there is to it. Before beginning your presentation, you might want to take a few minutes to plan out your acts and scenes. This model for creating presentations is truly revolutionary and flexible. Utilizing acts and scenes, plus the dynamic and engaging professionally designed actors of Impression Studio, will amaze and astound your audience when you tell your story.